What's going on, all you gamers? Here we are, back once again with some more Outriders, and today I'm going to be going over this fella right here, my Explosive Samurai build. One of my favourite builds currently at the moment, an anomaly damage build, and a really fun one at that, that's also really survivable. So if you want to see what that entails, then stay tuned, that's coming up next. Welcome back, all you gamers, as always, for all things Xbox, for all things gaming, and a lot more Outriders along the way. Then why not hit that subscribe and bell icon. But for today, you're here to see what this character entails, and I think he looks absolutely amazing. He does a lot of damage, he does a lot of fun gameplay, and he can manage to get through a tier 15s on silvers and golds. I've done 3 on gold so far, and we're missing a couple of bits that could make him even stronger. So what I'll do is I'll chuck on a little bit of gameplay for you, and you can decide whether it's for you, and then after that I'll go over the full build guide.
Outrider, there's a storm coming your way.
There's a well here, spewing anomaly energy. It's creating the storm. That's what's causing the vibration.
Right, so as you've almost definitely guessed, this guy is an explosive type of build, and as such he won't be using pure anomaly rounds, so he will actually be just using mainly his skill and anomaly powers, and also I've tried to put a little bit of gun damage in there just for a little bit of viability. Now the weapon we're going to be using is this one right here, and I absolutely love this weapon, and this is the Imploder. It's a double gun which I have liked since the demo, and I really like the looks of this one and how its playstyle is. This one comes with weapon life leech, giving you a little bit of extra survivability, healing received, which is always nice, and close range damage. You are always going to need a few bits of that, especially when you get mobbed by about 30 or 40 of the baddies. Now its tier 3 mod is quite interesting and really good, and that's Deadly Disturbance. Critical shots activate an unstable anomaly effect in your enemy, causing him to explode, dealing 222,927 damage to other enemies within a 5 meter radius. It has a 3-second cooldown, but you're going to be popping that off very often. Aim for the headshots, and even if you're not getting them, don't worry, you will be critting from time to time as a random crit, so that will definitely get you a lot of extra damage, and it's a really fun mod to have on. Now underneath that, and we've got Shadow Comet, hands down just straight up one of the best kind of mods in the game for damage. It hits in an area, it's got a 3-second cooldown, but it does such a big lot of damage. Shots cool down a comet, dealing 210,003 damage to enemies within a 3.5 meter radius. Really nice. If any of you have put this on any of your guns, you'll know that it's well worth having. If you're not sure what that's from this one just here, if I can find it. the funeral pyre. So deconstruct that or use it in your build somewhere if you don't want to deconstruct it, but I must admit for this build it works best on a kind of further away gun than a shotgun. Now secondary, and I've just gone with my old faithful as such, and that's an LMG. Decent damage, not the best to be perfectly honest, but it's got a nice single target with the ultimate storm whip free. It also has death chains on it, which is an added bonus, and this does quite a hefty chunk of damage to be fair. It also comes with status power, which is really nice. It helps us with our build. So both of these together work really well. That one gives us a little bit of healing, this one gives us kind of a little bit of single target, a little bit of added status power. Handguns, chuck on whatever you want. I always pick Torment and Agony, and that's for one main real good reason. They look really pretty attached to his legs, and that's where they stay. You won't be using them, but they do look nice, and they kind of give off the same effect as the Imploder, so it looks really good in this build. Right, over to the armour, and we've gone with this one, the Ronin's Amagasa. I really like the looks of this. It can work really good in some crit builds. This one isn't actually a crit build, but it has exactly what we need, and we will still be getting the effects. So this comes with anomaly power, cooldown reduction and status power. All in all, they're the three we're pretty much after. This is really good in slot, and it comes with a tier 3 that's really nice as well. Arms and anomaly. Critical shots increase your anomaly power by 19,946 for 6 seconds. Now it has a 7-second cooldown, but basically it's going to be up most of the time as long as it crits. And I've gone with Debris. This one you could swap out. I found it was quite good for clearing mobs, so I've kept it on for the moment. So that one is Eruption. Throws damaging debris at enemies, dealing an additional 42,468 damage. Now it might not sound like that much, but it does do a kind of outwards effect at people, and we're going to have 3 eruptions, so you'll get quite a bit of damage out of just that one mod alone. Just down here, and we've got the upper robe of the lava lich. So as you can see, we're kind of going with the lava lich set just to get the effect and to get the 3-piece bonus. So now we've got anomaly power, status power and skills life leech. The tier 3 mod is not impressed. Reduces the damage taken from elites by 25%. I have kept this as is for the moment, mainly for the sheer fact that, well, it was keeping me up from not dying, and to be honest, I haven't got it yet. I didn't want to deconstruct this one as I haven't got another one. If you find that you're not dying in the slightest, you can swap this out for something that's going to give you a bit of extra damage, and it'll make you able to kind of clear things faster. Down the bottom, and this is one you 100% want to have, and that's Giga Blast. Eruption increases the skills radius by 100%. Just over here, and we've got lower robe of the lava lich. This one comes with anomaly power, status power and skills life leech. Its tier 3 is improved damage. Eruption increases explosive damage by 54,924. There's no need for me to tell you why. You're going to want that in your build. You're spamming this, you've got 3 goes of it. It is well worth having. It's just going to mean that your kind of damage goes through the roof. And Pompeii. Eruption. The skill can be activated one more time before triggering the cooldown. This, again, you want as many spams as you can, grab yourself 3, and it's going to make it so that you've got an absolute abundance of an area effect, and every mob and a boss is going to be caught in it. Just down here, and we've got the charms of the lava lich. This one comes with max health, status power and cooldown reduction. Ideally, I'm not going to lie, if I could get 3 pieces that had all anomaly on, I definitely would take that. I couldn't, so I had to go with this. And that one also comes with a tier 3 called Etna. The skill can be activated one more time before triggering the cooldown. So again, now you've got those 3 uses, and you're just going to make sure that you're using them on all of the kind of medium to bigger adds. So bosses as such as well, spam all 3 on them, it will definitely knock off a big chunk of their health. Either that or just use one on an absolute abundance of smaller enemies. Also down the bottom is Bullet Kindling. Deals 20% more damage against enemies afflicted by burn. Obviously they're all going to be kind of burning constantly because you're going to be using triple of these. You're going to get a lot of extra damage from it. Now the 3-piece is increased damage of eruption by 40% and decrease its cooldown by 10%. Ideally I would hope that in the future maybe they put the cooldown a little bit better, but it is still really good, and like I said, you've got 3 uses, so that extra damage is definitely good for the late game content. And finally, just down here, I've just chucked on any boots I could find with anomaly power and cooldown reduction. I've chucked on Captain Hunter and of course emergency stance, which is just absolutely amazing in slot for making sure it doesn't completely fall over from one snipe or just one random ad giving you a tap to the back that you don't know about. It's really good for survivability. If you have the chance to, I have not been able to get it, but I would say chuck that debris one straight out and put the one from the lava lich helmet on. That's a tier 3 mod and it ups your status power whenever you hit enemies with your actual phaser beam. It's really good. I would say that will definitely help you to kind of clear content a little bit faster and do some more extra damage, especially with your eruptions. Also over here, for the life of me, I've been trying to get it since the start of the game. I haven't been able to. If you can, get the mod of the death shield or run the death shield if you really wanted to, if you didn't like shooting kind of like longer range, if you like close range. But either way, that will give you an extra 43% to your damage, and it's not just on your gun, it's on your skills as well. So I would definitely say, if it was me, I would deconstruct it, put it on most of my weapons as the bottom one, and you'll just be absolutely mowing down enemies and going through content a little bit faster because your skills and your weapon damage will be really high. Right, so moving on to the actual skills, and we've gone with thermal bomb. Select an enemy to burn, interrupt and deal 24,000 damage, give or take. If it's killed, which is what you 100% want to make sure happens, what it will do is explode in an area of effect, dealing 206,109. Basically, don't be using this unless you're going to make sure that target is going to die, as it will not do much at all. You're going to want to make sure that target dies and you get that area effect and pop as much as you can health wise around that vicinity. If you're struggling to kill it, use this next one, phaser beam, or this last one, eruption. Just chuck it straight on top. Phaser beam, ignite and an interrupt. Fire an energy beam that deals 133,696 damage and benefits from 150% of status power, inflicting burn and causing interrupts to enemies hit by the beam, as well as enemies within a small radius around you. Now this I absolutely hated at the start of the game. I didn't like it at all. It got me killed a lot. I was struggling to aim it. I've put it on this build and for some reason I've just kind of got used to it a little bit. Give it a few runs, honestly it will work in your favour after a while, and sometimes when there's an ad that's kind of a little bit further back across the map or you can't get to and you just blast it through a tree, that can work really well for saving time, and it's quite a fun skill to use. Finally, and definitely not least in our kind of arsenal, is definitely this eruption. Create a volcanic eruption beneath the selected enemy, dealing 196,624 damage to all enemies within a small radius of the target. The eruption spews lava, dealing damage over time within a small area. This one is kind of our bread and butter. This is what we're basing this whole build around, and it is such a fun move to use and quite devastating. One good thing is that even though you're lacking a little bit in single target damage, this, if there is a big boss, if there is a elite, you have got 3 of these, you can make it absolutely melt them like butter. Right, so over to the skill tree. Now with this, I would say this one is definitely worth having. You're going to make sure you've got your anomaly power as high as possible and your cooldowns. So just go this path to get your anomaly power. Then you're going to make sure you've got your cooldown, and just up here pick up your marks accumulation. This increases your skill damage by 8% against marked enemies. Then you're going to go down to here and pick up a bit more anomaly power. Just down here, and because you're going to be using that very often with your thermal bomb, you're going to make sure that you've got activating explosive skills increases your weapon damage by 35% for 10 seconds, just giving you a little bit of weapon damage, a bit of viability in your build in case your skills are on cooldown. Just up here, and we've gone for a bit of more weapon damage and anomaly power, and again some more skill cooldown by 10%. Go to top tree here unless you're struggling to survive. If you're struggling to survive, go down the bottom. This one is going to give you more damage. I've gone this way. Just over here, increase your anomaly power by 6%. Just here, increase weapon damage and anomaly power by 5%. Again, a little bit more anomaly power, always good, boost it up as high as possible. This one will give you 12% extra anomaly power whenever you're using an explosive skill. Your skill is lower than that, so you will pretty much have this up 99% of the time whenever you're fighting anyone. Just down here, and I always pick this, it gives you a bit more survivability. You need a little bit of resistance in your build, especially when you're fighting those broodmothers and things such as that with the big area effects underneath them. Just here, and again a little bit more anomaly power. I have picked this for a bit of survivability. If you don't need this and you play really well and you find yourself not getting spanked, put it somewhere else, very possibly over here for a little bit of extra firepower, or just up here to get a little bit of extra damage against the big elites or the end bosses as such, to burn them faster. Just over here, and we've got conflagration, increase your resistance piercing by 15%. Just another way to kind of burn them down a little bit faster and give yourself a bit of viability with your damage. Just up here, and increase damage against elites by 10%. Both of these, pick both of them up, they'll really help you. This one will give you the extra added damage against marked enemies. This one will give you a little bit more cooldown. Last but not least, we've got Graver Blaze. Increase explosive skills based damage by 30%. All in all, really nice. You've got quite a survivable build. It has a bit of kind of reliability to it, a little bit of tankiness, even though it has low armor, because you've got certain mods on that kind of keep you alive. Right, well, you guys and girls, hopefully I haven't taken up too much of your time. Hopefully you've enjoyed it, and hopefully the build looks like something you'll be interested in. But as always, I'll be bringing out a lot of guides, a lot of builds, and hopefully a lot of fun gameplay. So for more Outriders, take care. I'll see you all next day.